Lady of Mount Carmel, Virgin Mary of Mount Carmel. Our Lady, under this title, goes very far back to the prophet Elias. And Elias the prophet, he had a monastery in the mountains of Carmel, a monastery of monks who lived in prayer and penance, waiting for the Virgin who would conceive and bear a son. So already they had a devotion to the Virgin Mary because she was prophesied by the prophets in the book of Genesis, chapter 3:15, the woman who will crush the head of the serpent. Isaiah foretold that a virgin shall conceive and bear a son, and his name will be called God with us, Emmanuel. And also many, many other prophecies in the Psalms regarding Our Lady. So Elias and his monks longed for that day. And he was in a time of a great drought for 7 years. And he prayed, and Achaz asked him, what sign is there going to be to end this drought? And he said, go to the top of Mount Carmel and you will see. And he went up and he saw the clear blue sky. He could see the distant sea. And he saw a tiny cloud, and the scripture says the cloud was the shape of a man's foot. A tiny foot in the sky. So he goes back to tell the prophet Elias. And the prophet says to him, go, get into your chariot and get ready to go because the rains are going to hit. And the rains, once they hit, you won't be able to get out of here from the mud. So that happened. And he went back and he saw the foot grow and grow and grow into a big cloud. And soon there was dark clouds, and very soon there was rain again. What does all this mean? Remember, the prophet Elias was the one carried up in the chariot. He is not yet dead. But he dropped part of his cloak for Eliseus, his disciple, to pick up that cloth. And here you have all, according to saints and commentators, these are all pointing to the Virgin Mary. First, the foot in the sky that ends the drought is the prophecy of Genesis 3:15. The woman, I will put enmity between thee, the snake, the serpent, and the woman, between her seed and your seed. And you shall lie in wait for her heel, and she shall crush your head. So the role of the Virgin Mary is to crush the head of the devil. And she's done it many times in the great battles and victories in the history of the Catholic Church. Battles in Lepanto, battles in Venice against the Muslims, battles in Ukraine against the Muslims, battles of the Cristeros against the Freemasons in the 1920s and 30s. The Virgin Mary herself appeared on a horse, taking the bullets. And the angels also appeared in battle, and they would win. They would win because they would fight on the feast of Our Lady's feast days. So the Virgin Mary, it's given to her always to crush the head of the devil. In Mexico, she overthrew the sacrifice of human hearts by the thousands every week. She overthrew it in Mexico, and they converted these people by the miraculous tilma, which is still in Mexico. So Our Lady's going to do it again. And we're in a massive drought now. The church is in a massive drought. The bishops are spitting out hot air and heresies. The Pope is spitting out sawdust and poisonous maggots by his teaching of ecumenism and the one world religion. And the mass of the priests have lost what they're all about. And Our Lady foretold this in La Salette. She foretold this would happen in Quito 400 years ago. Faith would be almost lost completely on the face of the earth, except for a handful of souls. And Anne Catherine Emmerich says only about 100 priests would be reduced to about only 100 priests who would still keep the Catholic faith. And we're there. We're there. I wish we even had 100. We're there. So what must we do? Turn to Our Lady, love her immensely, devote everything to her. Through her you will obtain heaven, wear her scapular, pray her rosary, And she said, one day through the rosary and the scapular, I will save the world, to St. Dominic. She wouldn't say that if you had Mass around your street corner. She wouldn't say that if you had Mass available and sacraments easily available. So she foresaw a day when the Mass, you're going to have to fight for it, drive to it, you're going to have to assist at it in spirit, send your guardian angel from a distance. We're there, aren't we? But through the rosary and the scapular, you will persevere, you'll save your soul, you'll keep the faith. So fight with these weapons. And let's go now with the Virgin Mary to the foot of the cross, which is what the Mass is, asking her to be faithful, like Elias. Think about Elias, he's still alive. He's never died, him and Enoch. They've never died. And their role will be to come down at the time of the Antichrist, to preach the Catholic faith, to remind the few traditional Catholics left, remember what the popes taught, remember what the church always taught, remember the old Mass, remember what Archbishop Lefebvre stood for. And they will be martyred by the Antichrist in the streets. So their role is yet to be seen. We may live to see it, God knows. Well, Mary conceived without sin. Mary conceived without sin. Mary conceived without sin. Father, Son, Holy Ghost.